Every time I press these witnesses for more information, I just make the situation worse. Nevertheless, what we need to do now more than anything at the moment is more information. I'm still very much in the dark. Suppose I'll just have to keep pressing the witnesses, knowing that more sparks may well fly. We mustn't give up hope that we'll uncover something. But... Right, I'll keep trying. I can't give up. I just need to keep calm and listen to the witnesses' statements again. What exactly did you see? Oh, well, sir, that would be the versions just so. Yes, collapsed on the floor he was. And by passenger, obviously you were referring to the victim, Mr. Mason, the brickmaker. And the other passenger had a knife in his hand, like this. By the other passenger, obviously you're referring to the accused, Mr. Magnus McGilded. And then he plunged it down like this, stabbing the other passenger in the belly. What? My lord, I wish to speak. Yes, juror number 5. Do I take it that you too? As the master of the Lord London Guild of Coachmen, the idea of a murder being committed in one of the city's carriages is utterly abhorrent to me. It wouldn't be right to make a decision before hearing all the facts, though, I said to myself. But I've heard enough now. The horse has bolted, as they say. No, please, just keep it. Gee up now, Silver Blaze. The fight finishes in sight. Bippo is a long-standing member of the guild, and I trust what the man says. Oh, thank you, sir. You're too kind, sir. Oh, this is too unkind, sir. I love Ryunosuke's lines. Which now means that 5 jurors agreed to condemn this man. Madam Juror number 6.
Yes, dear? What can I do for you?
You have heard the testimonies of the witnesses in the stand.
Oh, yes, I certainly have. Still got my hearing, you know.
Then, pray tell, why are you yet to pronounce your leaning?
Well, dear, the thing is, I'm a creature of habit, me. I always go to the park at around this time of day and sit on a nice bench and get on with my knitting. There's a lovely little park just near where I live. The Gilded Park, it's called. The gentleman donated it to the city, you know, to put a smile on Londoners' faces, he said. I can't imagine such a fine young gentleman would have it in him to take another man's life.
He's always doing wonderful things for the city. That's right, a man like that wouldn't stab someone, surely.
Mother, may we go to McGilded Public Library later and borrow some books?
How many Londoners live with their heads in the clouds? Do you people not know? What kind of a man Magnus McGilded really is? What kind of man is he? The philanthropist Magnus McGilded has enough wealth to purchase the entire city he claims to value so highly. But where did all that wealth come from? Your client is a Shylock, sir, and one with the very darkest of souls. What?
Stone the crows!
McGilded lends money at extortionate rates of interest, so his victim have no hope of repaying him. When they default, he takes possession of everything they own. He is a vulture that preys on the weak.
I've never heard any mention of that before.
Your faculties haven't deserted you, I'm sure, madam. So has this thought not crossed your mind? Would a man wealthy enough to buy London in its entirety not have a carriage of his own? What possible reason could this man have had to make use of a public omnibus service? You're not saying that. The victim, poor brickmaker, next to nothing to his name, save considerable financial liability. It will come as no surprise that his creditor was the accused Magnus McGilded. But let it also be known that the very day Mr. Mason was killed was the final repayment date for his debts. Good gracious! The brickmaker was destitute. He had lost his house. He had not a shilling to which to repay his debts. And in the end, his pitiful soul had the very last thing he owned taken from him. His life. By the merciless philanthropist pretender Magnus McGilded! I don't believe it. If I might add something briefly, Mr. Sutter. You claimed that the victim had been lent money by Mr. McGilded. But where is the evidence to support your claim? Pray forgive the discourtesy of filling my hallowed chalice in a court of law. Oh. Aha! There it is! Lord Fonsee's hallowed chalice, let's go! Anyway. How can this be considered acceptable? But I find myself in unexpectedly good humour. I have heard ladies from the Far East could show great courage, but I didn't expect to experience it myself. Oh! As the judicial assistant to the defense, I'm simply doing my job. What a pity that your display of courage is in vain. This is the debtor's ledger, which details all monies loaned by the accused. You will find the victim's name clearly recorded inside. Allow me to present this ledger as evidence. And pray forgive the discourtesy of raising my chalice in a toast to the enigmatic East at the same time. First toast, Counsel. I will gladly accept this new evidence. Sorry, I'm having way too much fun with this. You can never have too much fun, though. Ah, yes. 20 guineas. The victim owed a considerable sum, and the accused made quite certain he had ample recompense.
Well, it would seem I've had the wool pulled over my eyes.
Regrettably, madam, that is the modus operandi of the accused.
And it's such a pretty little mark too. What a scoundrel! Still, maybe it's all for the best.
That's terrifying. Wait a minute, let's think about this a little more before. I don't stand for nonsense. That was it. The last juror's decision. According to this Encyclopedia of British Law, all members of the jury have concluded that the defendant is guilty. Court proceedings are suspended, and the presiding judge will deliver the final verdict and sentence. That's what it says here. The final verdict. It's over then. Screwed up. Oh! Please save me! There's a footnote, though. Footnote. However, the defense, all 6 members of the jury are now in agreement in this case. What the hell, Chalice go? Allow me to convey my respect for your swift and righteous decision. According to the laws of this country, I will now conclude the trial by delivering my final verdict. I trust there are no objections, or forever hold your peace. Mrs. Sutton, just tell me one thing. Oh, yes? You were in the middle of saying something before. The footnote in your Encyclopedia of British Law. However, the defense... What did it say next? Oh yes, of course. One moment. All members of the jury have concluded that the defendant is guilty. Court proceedings are suspended and the presiding judge will deliver the final verdict and sentence. And the footnote says, however, the defense has the right to demand a summation examination of the jurors at this point. Summation examination?
Objection!
You heard that, did you? A summation examination? From which century has that term you have there been resurrected? Judging from the binding, I would say that book is at least 50 years old. So it's not ancient, relax bro. Any modern text on British law wouldn't even give such an antiquated procedure a mention. It's a relic, long forgotten, and certainly no longer practiced. So you're out of luck. Oh. What even is it, Mrs. Suttle? This so-called summation examination. Oh, one moment and I'll read about it. You would demand the right to a procedure before you even understand what it entails? Typical Nipponese. Typical? What do you know, sir? Right, Mr. Naruhodo. I think I understand. It seems that under this procedure, we would be able to appeal to the members of the jury. To do what exactly? Appeal to them to change their leaning and reverse their decisions. And it says here that if successful, the proceedings of the trial must be resumed. Make them reverse their decisions. Yes, in times gone by, barristers would use a summation examination to attempt to influence the jury's decision. But that procedure became something of a formality with no practical benefit, really, so it rather fell out of use. I wonder why. Because it was devoid of purpose. It was devoid of purpose. Changing just one member of the jury's mind would be hard enough, let alone several. No self-respecting defense barrister would even assert his right to try in this day and age. Still, I don't see any mention of the procedure actually being formally revoked. What are you suggesting? I'm suggesting that, although it may be antiquated and largely forgotten, it isn't yet extinct. What do you think, Mr. Naruhodo? Summation examination. Last possible option. Do we assert our right to carry it out and admit defeat, or admit defeat? We will assert our right. The defense wishes to assert its right to a summation examination, my lord.
Objection.
London is the capital city of the most powerful nation on earth. We have a duty to the world to exemplify the very highest standards of judicial procedure. Seriously, that Bollerall is unfazed. Summation examinations are an embarrassment that should remain buried. But if that's our right, it's our right! I believe it could prove vital in this trial. The defense's petition is perfectly valid. The court will proceed with the summation examination. This is madness. Foreman, are you and the remainder of the jury ready? Well, I'm not, there's no mention of this in the letter I received, you see, so... All members of the jury will be asked to explain on what grounds they have reached the decision. On what grounds? You must all justify your decisions and explain why you believed the defendant to be guilty. Well, my lord, you're rather putting us all on the spot. This is most irregular. Mention was made of this before. I don't really hold with this justifying lark. It seems to have thrown the jurors off. It seems none of them have experienced this before. Alright then, summation examination. Defense procedure no practicing lawyer has attempted for years, is it? Well, just maybe. Might be the opportunity we've been looking for to turn this trial around. So be it then. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the court hereby calls upon you. to state the grounds on which you find the defendant, Magnus McGilded, guilty of this most serious crime. There was no one else inside the carriage at the time, so it has to have been him. I trust the driver. He has an excellent memory, it seems. 4 passengers, with fares totaling 20 pence. I don't know how you know this much, but alright. He stuck the chap next to him just like this! Brazen, I must say. Absolutely brazen!
I have simply taped and collated all the statements made thus far and drawn the logical conclusion.
Perhaps we may press her on this. You can trust the guild. Fares is our motto. We haven't raised the price above 4 pence for years. Okay, bringing up currency.
The scoundrel stabbing that poor man on the floor. It beggars belief.
Starting to wish I hadn't pushed for this now. Some of the jurors don't seem to have wonderfully formed arguments though, do they? Well, let's see what we can do. We need to get these 6 people to change their minds. I have to throw everything I can at them and use some very persuasive language. Just a moment, Mr. Naruhodo. According to my book, it's not quite how it works. Oh? I thought I was going to have to thaw their icy minds with some heartwarming rhetoric about the defendant. Unfortunately, once the jurors have decided the defendant is guilty, they're unlikely to heed anything the defense says. But then, they've reached their conclusions by their own reasoning, you see. Your pleas will sound like excuses. In fact, it could recoil on you. The more you try to persuade them, the more entrenched they may become. Thanks for the psychology lesson. Then what on earth am I supposed to do? Oh dear, I'm just citing what I read about British law, Mr. Naruhodo. Alright, I'm sorry. Do you know how to make this work then? Well, from what I can understand, the key to this procedure is using the juror's own words to make your arguments. What do you mean? Well, the 6 members of the jury are randomly selected members of the public. They may appear to present a united front, but the truth is, just complete strangers who just happen to find themselves here in the courtroom together. And that's the way to break them down, you mean? Yes, exactly. We must listen very carefully to what each member of the jury says. See if we can identify any contradictory statements. If we can then contrast the statements and pit the corresponding jurors against each other. I see. So it's contradictions in what 2 or more jurors say that we're looking for. In a way, then, this is similar to a regular cross-examination. I suppose you're right. Instead of using evidence, though, you're using each other's statements. Find contradictions in their statements and pit the jurors against one another to break them down. Alright, I might be able to pull this off. No, that's not right. I have to pull this off. Can we start proceedings, counsel? I would ask you to take the stand for this. I'm expecting a clear and concise rebuttal. Yes, my lord. I want to have a look at the money before I forget it. Alright, so 4 passengers with fares totaling 20 pence. I'm guessing it's 5 pence per passenger? 5 pence per passenger. What did you say? Eh! What's this now? Am I bad at... Oh, sorry, wrong button. Am I bad at maths all of a sudden? Excuse me. Oh, right. Oh, shit. Oh, wait, no, I got it. Okay, never mind. Forgot how this worked. These contradictions... This tape... You can read. Oh my god. They do! Explain yourself, counsel! Me? Dear, what have I said? Swear on Silver Blaze's maiden name, I haven't the first idea what you're talking about. According to the group testimony we've heard so far, there were 4 passengers on the omnibus on the night in question. And according to the coachman, Mr. Beppo, he took 20 pence in fares.
Quite right. I have those precise details typed neatly here in front of me.
And juror number 5 also told us the following. The fare for the omnibus is always 4 pence. That it is. A fair and convenient single price. Just the way London's carriages should be operated. But that doesn't add up at all. In fact, it leaves a glaring discrepancy in the facts. Why, man, why? 4 passengers paying 4 pence each. If you do the multiplication, it would be 16 pence. Exactly. As I said, it doesn't add up. The figures are different. By 4 pence, in fact. Or precisely 1 person's fare. 1 person's fare? Yes, in other words, on the omnibus that night, it's distinctly possible that there was another passenger we've heard nothing about. Good gracious! This cannot be right! The coachmen of the guild are good, honest men, one and all, trustworthy as our watchword.
The figures your coachman claims most certainly do not add up. Your watchword, good sir, is a fallacy.
I beg your pardon? Mr. Guildmaster, I think you ought to consider that if this trial were to end now, the news will surely spread all over London. The news that one of your coachmen tried to hide the fact that he lets nefarious characters ride his omnibus. At least they paid. Alright then, how do I make it so that miserable trial doesn't end, Well, according to my book here, you simply launch a ball of fire on the innocent side of the scales. Now hold your horses there, coachman! We were all in agreement. Why do you have to go and... Wait till I get my hands on you, Beppo! Yay? Oh, this is all very irritating. Begging your pardon, sir. I'm going to do the same. For the love of Mike, not you as well! Penny can be the difference between a smile and a tear, after all. I certainly can't put my trust in someone who doesn't follow my exacting standards in financial matters. Really? I, for one, think it's only proper we hear from the witnesses again. What more are they going to say? Oh, well done, Mr. Nuttlehoddle, you did it! It's a start, yes. If we can manage to change 2 more jurors' minds, We can force the trial to continue. 2 more? Actually, there is something else that's bothering me about a couple of their assertions. There is something I did want to press, yes. And that's where you must strike next. So we need to pit 2 more jurors against each other and show there's another contradiction in their assertions. Exactly. We can do it. Well, the scales of justice have shifted, but they still weigh heavy on the side of guilt. Counsel, you have the floor again. Continue with your summation examination, if you please. I'm changing my leaning to innocent. I should like to hear what the slipshod bookkeeper has to say for himself. Oh, I just want to read the change in the statements. Beppo, this trial has to continue so I can get to the bottom of this corruption. Not guilty, I say.
I have simply typed and collated all the statements made thus far and drawn the logical conclusion.
What have you been doing all this time?
What have you been doing all this time? There! I should have thought it was obvious. I am recording everything that takes place as part of these proceedings.
What have you learned from that?
For example, at this moment in time, the judge has used his gavel 11 times in total.
Did anybody count that? Can someone confirm? Anyway,
the prosecution has snorted derisively at your remarks 7 times in total. And, I might add, each time you have gulped like a simpleton.
Thank you. What's the point exactly? So anyway, madam, are you able to explain why you think the defendant is guilty?
That is the conclusion I have drawn as a result of the copious notes I have typed.
Clearly, but I'm asking you to explain why you've drawn that conclusion.
Please don't distract me. It makes it extremely hard to concentrate on my note-keeping.
This is going nowhere. Oh, I wasn't expecting that to be, let's see. Did we not just newly establish that a 5th passenger is possible? Certainly, the testimonies we've heard suggest the victim and Mr. McGilder were alone inside the carriage. Precisely my point. But could there be some other explanation? Something we haven't yet considered? Such as? Oh, well, perhaps that's something we could, all work out together now? Now listen here. Maybe you don't know how things work because you're from foreign climes. But we're here to form our opinions as individuals. And I have.
Oh dear, he doesn't appear to be in the mood to consider an alternative point of view, does he?
No, I'm going to have to pit the jurors against one another, like Susato-san said. Finding contradictions in these 6 people's assertions is the only way I'm going to succeed. Okay. Okay, I guess the 5th passenger isn't confirmed, but still, like, the possibility, I thought that would open up. But anyway, what do you have to say? Careful, you could hurt somebody with that. Who allowed the... I mean, coming from someone who has a sword with him. Yeah, if I want to talk, what with that sword hanging from your waist, Yeah, exactly. No, that's just my battered soul. Your battered soul? What, Cosmos? I despise anyone with too much money. They're all the same, all stabbing some brickmaker or other behind the scenes. You mark my words. That seems very unlikely, doesn't it? Are you mad, man? Are you mad, man? We know that small shorty is a rotten Shylock. It's a rotten Shylock. Oh my gosh, sorry. Oh, yes, that does seem to be the case, but... Mr. Naruhodo, please, be careful what you say. He's been trying to squeeze money out of us less fortunate. And as far as I'm concerned... He's as guilty as sin. Come to think of it, didn't one of the other jurors have something to say about the defendant's underhand activities? If you thought of something, Mr. Naruhodo, don't let it go. Test your theory. No time like the present. Oh. Oh, wait, why didn't I notice that? Yes. This lady is saying, oh, the victim was on the floor, whilst this one is saying next to it, what's going on here? It's a bit of a nitpick, but we're desperate. These two statements are completely contradictory. Oh, explain, counsel, post haste!
Oh, dearie me, I was only knitting a jumper for my other half.
What is all this claptrap? What does contradictory even mean, I ask you? We've heard from more than one witness that they allegedly saw the actual moment when the defendant stabbed the victim. Now, out of curiosity, juror number 3... I can't just see him busy here! How would you say the defendant stabbed the victim? What sort of motion was it? I didn't see the crime, but alright. Ha! Want to test me, do ya? It's like this! Stuck the fellow next to him without even getting up! Just like the prim banker said. Yes, that was Mr. Fairplay's testimony. Quite true. Now then, juror number 6.
Oh, is that me, is it? What can I do for you, young man?
How would you say the defendant is stabbed the victim, madam?
Oh, well, dear, as far as I understand it, it's like this. He stabbed the poor man after he collapsed on the floor. The coachman said so.
Well, why is the blood stain on the chair? But alright. Now don't move! Take a look at these two jurors. Stuck the fellow next to him without getting up. And he stabbed the poor man after he collapsed on the floor. Well, I never. They're stabbing in totally different directions. I should like to hear more about this. Is that what we're going with?
Bless my stitches, what a muddle!
What this tells us is that there's a strong possibility one of the witnesses isn't telling the truth.
Oh.
But why? Why the dickens would they lie? I don't know that yet, but what I do know is that if the trial ends at this point, we may never find out. We may never know the real truth. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, can you really let that happen in all good conscience?
Why, you say? Oh, dearie me.